The Reserve Bank defended its inflation targeting policy. Outgoing Reserve Bank Governor Gill Marcus says the policy has helped reduce price pressures and contributes to more favourable economic growth. Marcus addressed delegates attending a two-day conference on inflation targeting currently underway in Pretoria.
Governor Marcus told delegates the Reserve Bank is open to the debate on inflation targeting, but that this approach has worked relatively well with positive experiences.
There are a number of indicators that suggest it has been a positive experience. One way of looking at it is to compare the pre- and post-inflation targeting period outcomes. While this approach gives us some indications, the causal relationships may be unclear, and the different periods were subject to different shocks, which may distort the picture. Nevertheless, the data does show that inflation targeting has been consistent with an average inflation rate lower than in the previous decade and accompanied by lower volatility and lower nominal and real interest rates.
Marcus acknowledged the reservations of organised labour about the framework. COSATU has openly opposed it, saying it leads to higher interest rates which undermine economic growth options. She cautioned against this opposition.
Inflation targeting, however, has not been without its domestic critics and political economy challenges. There has been a lot of resistance to the framework from sections of the labour movement in particular, where the idea of a long-run trade-off between inflation and employment persists, and not surprisingly, opposition has tended to intensify during upward phases of the interest rate cycle. This animosity is problematic, as societal buy-in and public support are considered to be important prerequisites for the successful implementation of the framework.
The Reserve Bank has raised interest rates by a cumulative 75 basis points, but now that inflation has bounced back into the target band, analysts say the Monetary Policy Committee is unlikely to hike interest rates when it meets next month. Diabo Seto, SABC News, Pretoria.